Hello there. I'm Rich, and I'm currently here with Jess.
Hi.
Jess is a care leaver who attended university, and just here to tell you, tell you about your experiences and stuff. So I've got a few questions for you.
Okay, that's fine.
And hopefully we can give people who are in care, who are thinking of going to university, a bit of a picture about what it's like and what they can expect and what the challenges are.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything? Or,
no, we can just move on and we'll just ask the questions.
Okay, so question one.
Okay.
When did you go to uni?
I went to university in 2009 and I graduated in 2013, in December 2013. In total I went back and studied for 5 years. Obviously my degree was 3 years. Went to University of Birmingham. It was fun, it was good.
And what did you study?
I studied social policy. I originally applied for social work, but I was a bit put off at the time because obviously around that time there was lots of stuff in the media about social workers. So I was kind of a bit like, do I really want to be a social worker? And then I was offered social policy and I thought that I could do different things with that degree, but still kind of get into the sector that I wanted to work in, so I chose social policy.
And do you think that was a good decision? Do you wish that you'd have gone for the social work?
Sometimes I think I wish I'd done the social work degree. I didn't realise that you don't actually have to go forwards to do kind of like on the field social work. You can do, there's loads of different roles that you can do in social work. Obviously it's not just like children and families, and when people think of social workers they think of going and taking children away and all that like child protection stuff, but there's like so much more that you can do for social work. You can do adults, you can do mental health, do like palliative care, like end of life care and stuff. So if I'd have known that, if I'd have known more about what the degree could actually achieve, then I might have chosen to do that one instead. But I have had thoughts about going back and do my masters in social work, and that's something that I still might potentially do, because once you've got that qualification it can open up a lot of doors. So.
Do you not think there should have been somebody there to advise you about the social work aspect and sort of thing?
Potentially. I mean, back then things were a bit different. Obviously there's been a lot of changes that have happened, and I think if I'd had somebody who was a bit around that time, I think it was connections and stuff like that was kind of like it was all a bit under question, so I didn't really have much guidance in terms of like a careers advisor. I think if I had that, then maybe I would have made a different decision, potentially.
Actually, for the people watching, it's probably really important to point out that when you were in care, which was a while ago, care leavers were 16,
yes,
whereas nowadays it's 18.
That was one of the changes that was going on. So it was a lot. Obviously, we weren't really made aware so much of like at the age of 16 you become a care leaver, and then 18 that's it, you're done, unless you were in education. But you were never really told that if you go back into education after you've been kind of like discharged from the aftercare service up until the age of 24, you come back into care. Now I wasn't made aware of that, and then obviously I went back into education for my own personal reasons, and I was like, oh, I get support now, like I get extra support, and I don't think people were made aware of it as much back then. So yeah.
So, how did you find the application process?
It's a bit difficult. Well, to be honest, when I went back to do my when I went back to college in general, I went back just to do my GCSEs because I'd left school with no qualifications whatsoever. And then when I went back, I kind of stumbled into doing an access course. Now, being somebody who'd been through like the care system and come out with like no qualifications, then to go back to college and have people talk about university, I thought it was something that I couldn't do. I thought, me, uni, that's ridiculous. I'm not smart enough. Like, that's for rich people. You can't, like, I can't do that. But like, the college was quite good with the application process because, well, if you did like the access course, I'm not sure if you like through A levels, but through the access course, that's part of it. They integrate you doing like your UCAS form, so like obviously personal statement and all that sort of stuff, and applying for it. And I remember like going for like putting the application form and waiting for the like the interviews or the offers and stuff like that to come through. And when I had interview letters coming through, I was like, what? I was like, really? Like, they're going to interview me? I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, they're not going to accept me. I'm not going to go to uni. And then I had the interviews and was offered places, and I was just like, wow, this is real. Like, this is actually going to happen. So I kind of, it wasn't like a conscious decision to go to university. It was just, I'd done my GCSEs, and then it was like, what next? And then they were talking about this access course. So I was like, okay. Just kind of stumbled into it. So.
And that's actually really, really important, isn't it? That you know, even though you've been to school, you might not have done very well in your exams, or you might have even, you know, not done any exams, and that's not a barrier.
No, it wasn't. No, especially not when you come back and you're doing it as like an adult. Because obviously, it's like up until you, isn't like 18 or something like that. Well, it's going to be changing now because obviously you have to stay in education until you're 18. But when you come back as an adult learner, it's a lot. I don't know. It's a lot that you didn't think. I didn't think there was that many options to come back as an adult learner, but there actually are. And there's an actual path for you to follow, not just like do a pointless course. It's like a proper like.
I think it's interesting because I mean I did alright at school. It wasn't anything special. But I always found that I was never interested in learning when I should have been learning.
Yeah.
But now, you know, now I'm old, I'm really interested in learning, and I want to learn.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I mean, it's just related to the point that at the time when you're leaving school, you might not think you want to go to uni, but it's never too late to.
No, you can always go back. As an adult, there's funding there for you to do it. Yeah, they'll make it quite easy for you. And I had my little girl and my daughter at the same time, so that wasn't a barrier either. I mean, it was actually having her that made me go back into education. So I went back to do my GCSEs, and there was a college on the site, and there was funding for her. There was a nursery on the site, sorry, and there was funding for her to like go to the nursery. So, and yeah, it was quite. It wasn't a barrier at all. They were really, really supportive with, like, you know, helping me get the qualifications and stuff.
And that's something we briefly discussed off camera, isn't it? Being a single parent, and I think a lot of single parents will probably see, you know, that as being a really big hurdle to get over.
It really wasn't. It was. They were so supportive. The college was supportive. The university was supportive. Like student finance give you a lot of financial support. They, you know, you are so you're at uni for so many hours a week, but for nursery places they'll pay for like a full-time place, so you can have that the rest of that time so that you can study and get the work done. Because obviously having a baby when you get home, and you've got to try and do your coursework on the evenings, and they're not going to sleep and all the rest of it, it can be quite frustrating. And so yeah, you do get that extra. They're not like, okay, you're at uni 6 hours that week, you're only getting 6 hours of childcare. It's not like that. They pay for a full day, which I found was really, really useful because it meant I can get the work done.
That's good. You probably don't know this, but is that something that every university will offer, or is it?
It's across the board. It's it comes from student finance, so it's not actually to do with the university directly.
So they will just fund the
nursery place, and you get to. It's not like you have to use like university nursery facilities, or you can choose the nursery that you want them to go to. So like choose private nurseries, and that, so you can look around and you can choose the one that's best for your baby and stuff like that. So
that's good. So while we're on the subject of finances, then did you struggle? I mean, I think all students probably struggle at some point financially, but as a care leaver, do you think you had more advantages or less advantages? With a little smoke on your face.
But I was just going to say I was quite fortunate because I was involved with Children in Care Council, and part of one of the projects that we were doing was actually looking into the funding that that care leavers get when they go to university, and we actually found about the bursary for care leavers, which was it £2,000 bursary?
I think so. Yeah.
2,000. It was a while ago. I'm still trying to remember it. £2,000 bursary.
Do you know what? I could be wrong, but I don't think that's changed. So.
No, it hasn't, because my friend got it last year. She got it, but they what they do is they split. So the £2,000, it was just it was a bursary that is given to any care leaver that goes to university, and they split it across the 3 years, which so you get like a third of it the first year.
There was a point there. Go on.
I was going to say that legally it says in Care Matters that they can request to have it in full.
Okay.
But
Do you
leave that one alone.
Did you get yours in full?
Yes, I did, Jess.
And did you spend it wisely?
Well, when you're at uni, you get quite a lot. No, I bought shoes. But the thing
and there you have it, folks. Go to uni, buy shoes.
No, but the thing is, if I could go back and I was given quite a lot of money. Obviously, there was the bursary, and then you get student finance. Obviously, having a child as well, you get more money to kind of like help with the nursery fees and stuff like that. And then you get a personal allowance through aftercare, which is obviously your 57 whatever a week, and they pay your rent. So I was quite fortunate. I was quite well off during the uni, and also the universities have their own grants that they give to people who are care leavers. So during the process of signing up to on UCAS, there's a box that you tick to say, are you a care leaver, and that will let the university know, so that when it comes to like extra finances and stuff like that, you're entitled to it.
That's really, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, so you just tick the box. So I was quite well off, and if I could go back, I would have saved it. I would have saved some, and I didn't. I spent it. I had the time of my life, but should have been a bit more sensible and saved it.
Well, I mean, obviously university's a very serious learning experience, but at the same time, you know, you're supposed to have a good time.
Yeah.
That's part of the experience, isn't it?
I think development-wise, I mean, I got involved with the Children in Care Council when I started university as kind of like a voluntary kind of like experience, so that I could gain some experience whilst I'm at uni, so that I have a better chance of getting a good position when I left uni. So like before I started uni, I was quite a nervous person. You'd never catch me doing this on camera. I was quite shy, lacking in confidence, and university is just fantastic for building your confidence and social skills, because you're forced to do presentations and stuff like that, and you grow. You definitely grow while you're at university.
So was there anything you found more difficult, or what you think might be more difficult for as a care leaver on the finances side? Do you think? Well, I mean, I suppose that the main thing I would say was that most people have access to the bank of mum and dad.
Yeah.
You know, so you could just pick up the phone and say, you know, Mum, I've just been out. I've just spent £2,000 on a whatever it is, and I need some more money, and I'll top up the credit card or whatever. But
no, like obviously, first of all, you've got to know some of the stuff you do have to look for. So some of the grants and the loans and stuff for care leavers, if you're not aware of it, some of it's a bit hidden and you don't really know about it. So you should always ask the uni what their policy is on like people who are care leavers, or and then generally you can kind of get it that way, find out what's available that way. But in terms of budgeting skills, I guess, obviously you get your money in like 3 chunks throughout the year, so you're having to manage that money, and yeah, I mean,
and I think that's crucial, and I think that's one of the biggest parts that the 18 plus team can play with the young person. Definitely. And of course the area teams, as they approach 18 and move on to care leaver status, is getting those budgeting skills done.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that can make or break anybody in any
especially
situation.
When you've got such it's a big chunk of money that comes at you, but like it's so easy to spend. It's so easy to just flutter it away, and then you're in a situation where you're kind of like left short. But the aftercare service do provide a lot of kind of financial support for you, like your rent's kind of took care of, and obviously your personal allowance keeps you going throughout when you're short on funds. So you've always got that at least £60 to keep you going throughout the week, which is good. So
we talked a lot about financial support. What about the emotional side of things? Obviously, you know, for any care leavers, there's going to be some difficult times ahead, emotionally, with family and turning 18 and suddenly having access to family that they may not have had before, and all that sort of thing. But did you have that support there? Could you pick up the phone and call your 18 or 16 plus worker at the time?
Yes and no. I think there comes a time when, obviously, if you're a care leaver and you go to university, you're seen as one of the people who are less in need of support. So you generally only see them when it's time for...
So that was the university stance?
No, I mean like the care leaver from aftercare. So they would see you as like you're one of the less in need ones, because
you're doing well, you're off to uni.
Yeah, you're standing on your own 2 feet, you've managed to get yourself here, that's fantastic, you must not need your support, but at times you do need support. I suppose it's about independence, really, isn't it? And they're always going on about being independent and all the rest of it. So for me, I did have tough times during uni. I had times when the work was just too much, and emotionally it got on top of me. But I didn't generally turn to aftercare. I turned to my tutors, and it's crucial to know that like honesty is probably the best policy when you're struggling at uni, because if you don't let them know what's going on, then things will get on top of you, and you won't get any kind of like, they won't cut you any slack if you don't talk. You have to talk to them and tell them that you're having...
And did you find that support was there from the university itself?
From the university it was, yes. Okay. Yeah.
And that's a really important point, I think, for anybody considering it, is that the universities are there to provide support, not just the obvious things.
There was one time during my degree when, you see, because I was living, when I started my degree, I was living in a 1-bedroom flat, obviously me and my daughter, which was quite, she was reaching the age of 5 at the time, and we were both living in the same room, we were both sleeping in the same room, and it just kind of got to me. It was really, it was struggling to kind of like be able to get on with work and kind of like keep the two separate. Anyway, aftercare helped me with, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. With
I can delete it out if you need to.
Okay, with a deposit for moving into my own accommodation, into private accommodation.
Well, I think that's absolutely fine. In fact, that's brilliant that they did that.
It was, well, basically it was getting to like emotionally, like mental health wise, it was really affecting me, living in such a tiny confined space when you're under such pressure with the amount of work that you do and stuff like that. So I had no place to study. It was just, you'd end up just sitting with the laptop on your lap and with your books just spread out everywhere. It was ridiculous. So yeah, they helped me financially. They were a guarantor for me to move into accommodation, because obviously I didn't have usually it would be mum and dad who would be a guarantor and all that sort of stuff, but I didn't have anybody who could do that for me, and I didn't have like a credit record, so there was no way that I was going to pass the credit check. So yeah, they supported me in that way, and I moved into at the beginning of my third year of uni, just before my dissertation and all that sort of heavy stuff. I moved into my own like 3-bedroom house with my daughter, and that was supported really hard.
Okay, just a couple more questions now,
Okay.
and then we'll be done. So university was I think it's safe to say, a really positive thing for you. What's it enabled you to do that perhaps other people who don't go to university wouldn't be able to?
Oh, it's a combination of stuff. I wouldn't just say it's university alone, because university, you have to, when you're talking career-wise, you have to build a kind of portfolio for yourself. So you have to have the education side of it, and you have to have the experience side of it. Now, I worked with the Children in Care Council and got involved with a lot of kind of extra activities. So designing the care leaver guide and the stuff like the corporate parenting pledge, and working with the directors when new policies were being changed and stuff. So that supported my application on my CV. So that was like under the other experience stuff. And then obviously I have my qualifications. My first job leaving university was a support worker role with care leavers. It was in a residential setting, and it was basically helping them develop independent living skills, on how to, cook, clean, budget, get themselves set with doctors, attending lack reviews, pathway plans, all that sort of stuff. I've done quite a few roles, and it's been difficult. It has been difficult. It's not just like you go to university and then you're guaranteed a job. You have to work at it, and the work that it's kind of like on the same level as the work that you put into the dedication that you put into completing your degree. You have to put that into actually getting the job as well. But currently I'm working for St Basil's, which is an amazing organisation, working with some really complex young people. But obviously my personal experience combined with the work experience and then the academic knowledge made it a lot easier to kind of like do the role.
So would you have seen yourself doing those same roles if you hadn't have gone to university, or do you think you would be doing something completely different?
I don't know what I would be doing. That's
It's a difficult question.
Yeah, I don't know. I think uni, my degree helped me with knowledge about the real world. I think without that kind of education, you don't actually know what's going on in the world. So. Sorry,
can I just say apologies for the binging?
That's all right. So the changes that happened in with policies and stuff like that, and the different sectors. So with the councils, all their changes and stuff with the government bringing in new policies. Like I would never know about that if I hadn't gone to university, and I suppose it's something that I developed an interest in. So I probably wouldn't be doing this because obviously I'm working on the front line with this policy changes and stuff. So probably not.
Okay. No, that's great. Okay, last thing, final thing. What would your advice be to other young people now who are thinking of applying to university? That are not, they're slightly undecided. What would you say to them to?
I would say think about what it is that you're applying for. Don't rush into just doing a degree for the sake of doing a degree. You have to understand that there's only a set amount of funding that you can do one degree, and then you do a master's, but you have to pay for that. That's really, really expensive. So make sure the one that you choose is something that you're going to get the most out of.
So what you're saying is if you do one degree, you're not happy with it,
then
they won't fund you for another one. That's important.
Yeah, so just make sure you're choosing the right one that you're going to get the most out of. Try and save while you're at uni. I would say that's a good one. blowing your money may seem like a fun thing to do at the time, but you'll have a reality shock when you finish uni, when you've got no money. And enjoy it really, because it's a fun time. It's good. It may be stressful, but yeah, I mean it's eye opening.
And I think we'll end on that then. Enjoy it. Thank you, Jess. Thank you very, very much.
No worries.